هناك إسلاميين هم يعملون لمصلحة CIA، وهؤلاء الناس تحركهم السعودية
هي نصبت من أجل جمع الشعوب وقتل الشعوب وإسكات الشعوب. أي صوت حر، أي صوت بعث، أي صوت يسعى إلى حقوقه، استعادة حقوقه، أن يعيش كريم أبي. الشعوب الأنظمة هذه وضعت ونصبت من أجل جمع هذه.
In Qatif. It's a town in the oil-rich eastern province of Saudi Arabia, where a sizable Shia minority is increasingly vocal against the Sunni rulers of the country. The riot was sparked on Monday when Shia youths took to the streets of another town called Al-Awamiyya in the same province to protest against the alleged arrest of two elders. Protesters say police beat them with clubs, made arrests and wounded some with rubber bullets. They raised written slogans demanding freedom and civil rights. But the Saudi authorities say these are seditious rioters working on behalf of another country in order to undermine Saudi sovereignty.
Now by Professor Sayyid Ali Wasif, who is with the Society for International Reforms and Research, who's joining us now via satellite from Washington. Professor Wasif, thank you very much for joining us. Now, is the use of this supposed foreign power interfering in Saudi affairs a convenient opt-out for the Saudis to not take responsibility for the reasons of this unrest in Qatif?
Where there is growing resentment against its authoritarian, totalitarian and anti-Islamic Wahhabi rule, and against its one family dictatorship. So that's why we see that the Saudi regime on and often tries to label a foreign connection whenever there is a kind of uprising, not just in Qatif but also in other parts of Saudi Arabia. So they almost always try to blame other foreign powers.
أن اليهود الذين كانوا في المدينة عادوا بعد 1400 سنة من هزيمتهم على يد النبي محمد، عادوا للانتقام من النبي محمد عبر هذا النظام الحاكم. أنا أجزم.
يعني تقول انه
فتشي عن بني القينقاع،
الاتصال السعودي
المسلمين يعرفوا هذا الأمر. فتشي عن بني القينقاع بتوصل شو عم بيصير اليوم مع النظام.
The Al Saud ruling family is the absolute authority in Saudi Arabia, and in conjunction with the Wahhabi religious establishment, it ensures that free speech is stifled and that political opposition and dissent are suppressed. A new report by the Islamic Human Rights Commission say there are around 30,000 political prisoners in Saudi jails. These range from Shias who are claiming greater rights to those who oppose Saudi Arabia's pro-Western subservience or those who want greater rights at home. Most say the IHRC have been incarcerated after sham trials. The IHRC's chairman says that proportionally there are more political prisoners in Saudi Arabia than in the ex-Soviet Union at its height.
What is really frustrating is that why is it that none of the human rights organizations are raising an eyebrow over the issue of political prisoners there and a staggering number of 30,000, over the issue of women's rights and etc., as a second-class citizen, the way that the foreign workers are treated. I mean, the whole system is abusive.
Of course, as you see, Saudi Arabia is a unique example on this planet, being an absolute monarchy. This is the only absolute monarchy left on this planet. So, and the concept of absolute monarchy, or for that matter, any kind of monarchy, is in contradiction with the Islamic doctrines. So if you want to check this thing, so the legitimacy of the Saudi government, it is totally in contradiction with international norms, international political norms of the West in terms of John Locke's ideology. It's in contradiction with the Islamic doctrines, with the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad and the Quranic injunctions, where there is no place of any kind of monarchy in Islam. It is in contradiction with international legal norms and human rights norms and civil rights and civil liberties. So this government is basically pursuing a policy today of the former Russian communist government, which they had in terms of gulags, the concentration camps. They treated their own people in concentration camps, and those people were meted out with ruthless policies, ruthless actions. Today we see the same kind of gulags in terms of Saudi Arabia's policy vis-a-vis its eastern province, where the entire eastern Qatif province is being treated as one concentration camp, just like the Soviet practice of Gulag. So they have no rights, no civil rights, civil liberties, no human rights, no political rights, no religious rights whatsoever. So this is basically a denial of the fundamental human rights. And this is in contradiction with the Universal Declaration of Human Rights 1948, enunciated by the First Lady of the United States, Helena Roosevelt. United States will ever, ask Saudi government to follow international legal norms, because the United States government itself doesn't follow any kind of legal norm, for that matter, when it comes to international law, international criminal law, international human rights. So this is why we are not seeing any kind of resentment on behalf of the U.S. government, on behalf of the U.S. opposition forces, on behalf of the U.S. media, not even on behalf of the European Union. Saudi Arabia has exhibited itself as the 51st state of the United States. This is very unfortunate. So that's why the United States really treat it as its 51st state, as an integral part of the United States. This is the matter, and this is the fact, and this is the situation on the ground.
الإسلاميين نوعين. هناك نوع لديه قناعة كبيرة بالحرب على الأمريكيين والمشروع الأمريكي، وهذا النوع تشكله بعض حركات المقاومة إن كان في العراق. يعني لا يجوز أن نشمل الإسلاميين كل الإسلاميين، وهناك إسلاميين هم يعملون لمصلحة CIA، وهؤلاء الناس تحركهم السعودية وتمولهم السعودية. وأنت شاهدت ماذا حصل عندنا في لبنان، فتح الإسلام بالكامل فبركة سعودية، وواضح بأن فتح الإسلام كانت تنفذ مشروعا سعوديا في لبنان وفي مخيم نهر البارد، ولم تكن تنفذ مشروعا مقاوما.